With the MLS just starting back up over the course of the last couple of weekends, and me being American, what better way to try and come over the pond and Americanize the Premier League? And by that, I mean saying, what if the Premier League had a playoff system just like the MLS do? Except we are going to use all 20 teams, not just the top 16 from each conference that they do in the MLS. We are going to go ahead and use every single team in the Premier League. And by that, we are going to go ahead and use the live start point from February 17th, where every single team has played 25 games. You can see here, Liverpool is the first seed, Arsenal is the second seed, Nottingham Forest is the third seed, Man City is the fourth seed. And then if we scroll all the way down, we have teams like Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich, Wolverhampton, West Ham, Man United, Everton, all sitting in the bottom six. Now, how this is going to work, I can't do just straight up 20 teams into one little thing. So we are going to have a play-in bracket, and no play-in bracket will come from 13th place all the way to 20th place. So 13th place, Crystal Palace. Let me just show you on my actual little graphic here, if I can. So here you go. Here is the play-in rounds. We have 13th place Crystal Palace taking on 20th place Southampton. Everton, who's sitting in 14th, or was sitting in 14th at the time of what we are using this for, play against 19th place Leicester City. 15th place Manchester United are taking on Ipswich Town, who currently sit in 18th, and then West Ham in 16th versus Wolves in 17th. The four winners will then go into the big bracket, where they will face off against the top four currently of the Premier League. So the four winners will take on either Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, or Manchester City. And how it will work, we'll go ahead and do the tournament mode on FC25. We'll play it out. We'll send the games. The lowest seed will play the highest seed. So let's just say, for whatever reason, Southampton, the 20th seed, beat Crystal Palace. Then on the big bracket, 20th place Southampton will go ahead and we'll go ahead and take on first place Liverpool, if that makes sense. And then next up, 19th place will take on second place Arsenal. 14th place will take on Nottingham Forest or Manchester City, so on and so forth. You can see there we already have most of the matchups. We have 4 matchups already in the first round. We have Fulham taking on Villa, 8th and 9th. We have Chelsea in 6th taking on 11th place Brentford. We have Newcastle in 7th taking on Brighton in 10th. And then we have Bournemouth in 5th taking on 12th place Tottenham, who just make the cut to make it into the big bracket, the main bracket. We'll play it out. We'll watch the final. Let's see who's up first, though. It's Crystal Palace versus Southampton. And first up, we have Southampton taking on Crystal Palace. Will one of the worst teams in Premier League history, Southampton, take down Crystal Palace? The answer is no. As expected, Crystal Palace move on to the next round, and Crystal Palace, being the lowest seed in here, will take on Manchester City as the 4th seed. So Crystal Palace beat Southampton, but now they take on Manchester City. Next up, we have 14th place Everton taking on 19th place Leicester City. And it will be Leicester City to cause the upset. They take down 14th place Everton. Leicester City move on to the big bracket. A Mavidi brace and an Ayu ceiling deal 81st minute goal. We'll see Leicester City take on Liverpool. So 1 seed versus 19th seed Leicester City. They take on Liverpool in the big bracket. Next up, we have Manchester United taking on Ipswich. If Man United win, they take on Nottingham Forest in the next round. If Ipswich win, they take on Arsenal. Who will go through? Who will be in the big bracket? It will be Manchester United. A 2-1 narrow win. Delap missing a penalty in the 78th minute to equalize there and possibly send this to extra time. It's a Hoyland and Ugarte second half doubler to get the boys through. Manchester United will be taking on Nottingham Forest as they move on to the next round. And the last play-in game is here. It's West Ham versus Wolves. The winner will be taking on the Arsenal in North London, and it will be West Ham off of penalties. Kudu, Soler, Bower, and Pequeta all scoring there, where Cunha and Stern Larson missed consecutive pens, sending Wolves packing. An 85th minute equalizer from Nori, though, sent them all the way to penalties extrally. And now the West Ham get their win, get the move on, and they'll be taking on Arsenal, which is not an easy game for Arsenal. Obviously, we lost in real life to West Ham. Don't want to talk about it. But Arsenal will be taking on West Ham, and that is the full bracket now filled out. I'll show you all that in a second before we get to it. And there is the full bracket. We have Liverpool versus Leicester, Fulham versus Villa, Nottingham Forest versus Man United, which could see a Big Six matchup in the quarterfinals if Chelsea get past Brentford and obviously Man United get past Nottingham Forest. We have Bournemouth versus Tottenham. We have Man City versus Crystal Palace. We have Newcastle versus Brighton, Arsenal versus West Ham. Let me know in the comments who you think's going to get to the final and who you think's going to win it from each side. Let's start with Liverpool versus Leicester City. It's the first matchup of the big bracket. It's Liverpool versus Leicester City. It will be Liverpool to go through. It took them to extra time. Leicester City did, though. But McAllister and Luis Diaz in both half of extra time, getting goals each, will send Liverpool through 4-2. And Liverpool are the first club through. Next up, it's Fulham versus Villa, and to move on, it will be Fulham with the upset against Austin. Is it an upset? No, I don't think it's technically an upset thanks to standing points, but it definitely is upset, and it's not upset to standards because Villa are the 19th, Fulham are the 8th seed, but it's still technically an upset as Fulham knock off Aston Villa. It's Nottingham Forest versus 15th place Manchester United. I can see Man United winning it, and they do win it as well. So Man United, they stay alive. They knock off 3rd place and surprise team of the season, Nottingham Forest, 2-1, and they move on to the next round where they'll be taking on either Chelsea or Brentford. Brentford versus Chelsea. To move on penalties, it's Chelsea, Neto, Dewsbury Hall, Enzo, and Nkunku on their 119th minute equalizer from Dewsbury Hall to actually send us to penalty shootout. And Chelsea, by the skin of their own teeth, are into the next round of this little playoff tournament where we have our first Big Six matchup of the quarterfinals. On the other side of the bracket, we have West Ham versus Arsenal. This could get sticky for Arsenal, and it will not get sticky for Arsenal. Jurgen Timber gets a red card, but it does not matter. A 3-0 clean sweep for the Arsenal, and the number 2 seed, they stay alive as well. Next up is Newcastle and the most informed striker in the Premier League, Isak versus the Seagulls. Who will come out on top? It will be Newcastle United. A narrow 1-0 win by Lewis Hall, scoring the goals of all players. And Newcastle are into the next round. Next up, we have Crystal Palace versus Manchester City. Who will come out on top? And it will be Crystal Palace. Their little upset run continues. They knock off 4th place in tournament, one of the tournament favorites on just FC standards. Manchester City are gone. Mateta with a brace in between a Mitchell game-winning goal there as well. And Mateta a seal deal in the 69th minute. Palace move on. Manchester City are the first Big Six club out of the tournament. Last matchup of this first round, it's Bournemouth versus Tottenham. Who will move on? Will it be Bournemouth, who's having a great season, or will it be Tottenham? It will be Tottenham. A 95th minute winner by Kulusevski will send the boys from Tottenham through to the next round of this little tournament. Unfortunately, that's not the Big Six upset I wanted. It is what it is. Let's go ahead and see what the quarterfinal matchups are now, though. And here we go. The quarterfinal matchups are through. We have 1st seed Liverpool taking on 8th seed Fulham. We have a big matchup versus 6th place Chelsea versus 15th place Manchester United. On the other side of things, we have a juicy affair there with 2nd place Arsenal taking on Newcastle United in the 7th seed. And then we have 2 big upsets in 12th place Tottenham taking on the biggest upset of the day so far, 13th place Crystal Palace. Well, we have a North London semifinals on the right-hand side where we have a Big Six matchup, or will Fulham cause an upset against Liverpool? Let's find out now. The first matchup of the quarterfinals, Liverpool versus Fulham. Will the league leaders go through? Yes, they will, by the skin of their teeth. A penalty shootout it took for Liverpool to move on. Luis Diaz, Gakpo, Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Mohamed Salah all scored theirs, and it went down to the final penalty in which Berger missed his penalty to send Liverpool through to the next round. How did we get to extra time is a question. Smith Rowe opened up the scoring in the 7th. Mohamed Salah, of course, scoring in the 34th. Then Raul took the lead in the 86th minute. Luis Diaz saved Liverpool from an upset to send them to extra time, which went all the way to penalties. And Fulham are out of the tournament. Liverpool stay as the favorites and move on to the semifinals. It's Manchester United taking on Chelsea, the first Big Six matchup of their tournament. It won't be the last, because the winner of this will have to take on league leaders and tournament favorites Liverpool. Who will it be, though? Will it be continue to be Man United? It's not. It's Nkunku and Chelsea as they move on. A brace from Nkunku. Mazraoui scoring in the 12th minute. That's all she wrote for Manchester United. Their little Cinderella run ends now. Chelsea move on to the next round. So we have Liverpool versus Chelsea is our first confirmed semifinal onto the right hand side of the bracket. It's Arsenal versus Newcastle. It's Isak. Can he take down Arsenal? Or will Arsenal continue to march on and possibly have a chance to face off against Tottenham in the North London derby? It will be Newcastle. They send Arsenal packing once again. It's not the first time this season this has happened. Gordon Willock in the 70th and 73rd minute combined with 2 rapid goals to send them to the next round of the tournament. And Newcastle might be turned favorites. Last quarterfinal matchup is Crystal Palace, who shocked Man City. Can they shock North London team Tottenham Hotspur, or will Tottenham move on to the semifinals? It will be Tottenham to move on. A 3-2 win. Matthias Teloni getting the first goal, and then a Sun brace in 10-minute time for Tottenham. Move Crystal Palace out of the way and push Tottenham to the semifinals of this playoff. In the semifinals, our matchup, we have Liverpool versus Chelsea. We have Newcastle versus Tottenham Hotspur. Is this just leading up to a Carabao Cup final? Liverpool versus Newcastle. It well and truly could be. I have a feeling it might be. Let's see what happens, though. See what the EA gods have to say to that. It's Chelsea versus Liverpool. The first team in the final will be Liverpool. Mohamed Salah and Luis Diaz send Liverpool to the final of the Premier League playoffs. It's Newcastle versus Tottenham to get into the final. It will be Newcastle. Tottenham runs ends. It's a Carabao Cup final matchup between Liverpool and Newcastle. You couldn't make it up. You quite literally couldn't make it up. Murphy, Willock, and Isak all on the score sheet. Well then, we get a little preview of the Carabao Cup before the Carabao Cup. And there we go. We have the final. It's Liverpool is the first seed versus 7th seed Newcastle United, who took down Brighton, took down Tottenham, and now look to take down Liverpool, something they're looking to do in real life as well in the Carabao Cup final. They also took down Arsenal as well. I forgot to say. I don't know why I forgot to say that, but they took down Arsenal. I was just looking this way instead of looking there. Bing, boom. Liverpool, they've had an easy run. They took down Leicester City. They took down Fulham. They took down Chelsea. And now to take down Liverpool, or to take down Newcastle. Let's see who comes out on top. And seeing as it is a final of a real-life tournament coming up, we might as well simulate that real-life tournament. It's Tottenham versus Liverpool. Carabao Cup final. Let's see who comes out on top to claim the Carabao Cup trophy, aka the Premier League playoff trophy for this video. Here's Liverpool's lineup. Luis Diaz as the left wing / striker. Gakpo's in the mix as well. Van Dijk, Gravenberch, McAllister, Mohamed Salah, of course, their main man. Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. Alisson in net. Diego Jota on the bench alongside Darwin Nunez and Tsimikas. Newcastle's lineup. Anthony Gordon, Isak, Jacob Murphy as the front three. Joe Willock. We have Mr. Sandro Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes in the midfield with Lewis Hall, Dan Burn, Fabian Schär, and Tino Livramento as their back four, with Dubravka getting the start in net. Luis Diaz on the attack early for Liverpool, trying to find the right pass, couldn't find it, intercepted by Newcastle. Murphy down the right-hand side, Jacob Murphy, still Jacob Murphy, in the box, it's Willock, it's off target. Corner, Konate picks it up, Luis Diaz, Virgil van Dijk, Cody Gakpo, still Cody Gakpo, back to Luis Diaz. Liverpool trying to work the way a goal here. It's Luis Diaz on the ball, into Sozablai. Sozablai out wide possibly for Trent. No, he'll go to Luis Diaz. Where's Salah? Salah's just sitting there. It's Luis Diaz. Can something happen? It's Robertson. How long have I been talking now? Sozablai. Luis Diaz, he strikes. He saved by Dubravka. Gakpo, Luis Diaz, Salah to strike first. It's Liverpool right before the brink of halftime. Liverpool take the lead here in the Carabao Cup Premier League playoff final. Halfway point, it's Liverpool in control with the scoreline 1-0 thanks to a Mohamed Salah late first half goal. These boys have some work to do if they want to get back into it. Mohamed Salah, stopped by Dan Burn, and Newcastle stay alive. Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes into Anthony Gordon, and Anthony Gordon into Lewis Hall, and Lewis Hall into Bruno. Bruno intercepted, back to Isak. Isak shot saved by Allison. The best chance for Newcastle all day long. Tonali, Anthony Gordon. Crossed in, Isak won't win it, it'll be Virgil. It might fall for Trippier, it doesn't, and Liverpool might be hanging on here. It's Diego Jota to seal the deal. It's Sozablai, and Liverpool will become champions. Is that a preview of the Carabao Cup? It sure as hell could be. It's definitely the winner of this Premier League playoff experiment video. Liverpool, the league winners, the league leaders. And at the time of recording this on Thursday the 27th, they're about 15 points clear off of second place Arsenal anyway. And they spent the most amount of days in the top position, so they will not bottle it like Arsenal have done 2 years ago. They will not bottle it like Liverpool did last year. It's Liverpool to win the league title, the Premier League playoff title, the American version of the Premier League. And Newcastle, who, if I would split it up, would actually be in the playoffs in itself as well. Liverpool are your winners. They are your champions. And there we go. Liverpool are your champions. If you enjoyed this video and you want me to see this, you want me to do this with another league like the Bundesliga, La Liga, Liga, and maybe spice that up a little bit, then let me know in the comments down below. Until then, leave a like, subscribe, and peace out.